Memorial Day weekend kicks off the unofficial start of the summer season, and thousands of Americans are gearing up for vacation, while the other half may be rethinking whether they're going to go away or not, especially with the rising cost of gas and pretty much everything else spiking in many areas.
Survivalist Brian Brawdy shares his insights on why people may be enjoying staycations this summer. Let's say good morning. He's out there in the tent. Hey, Brian.
Morning, Bill. How are you, sir?
We're great. So, Brian, I have a story. When my kids were little, I have twin boys, and they had a couple of their friends. So it ended up being 5, 8-year-old boys in a tent, and I was out there sleeping on the ground with them, which sleeping on the ground was incorrect because there was no sleeping. And when I did finally fall asleep at about 4 a.m., one of the little boys fell asleep next to me and rolled over me and out the door. And I was sleeping by the door for that reason, to keep them all in the tent. It's an experience sleeping out on the ground, isn't it?
It is, but I will tell you, and I know we're going to be talking about mental health. For me, finding mental health in my own backyard is a lesson that I wanted to teach my friends, most certainly wanted to teach my children, that it builds grit when you sleep in contact with the ground. You can handle anything. Food isn't always at a drive-up window. You can't always adjust your comfort level with a thermostat. So it makes them think on their feet, and I absolutely love it.
So good lessons to pull from that for sure. And Brian, every article we read or listen to these days is talking about making that time to get outside to help with mental health.
Well, I think so. And I think it's important because of the fresh air. Again, I think human beings, I talk all the time about the concept of mortal up. Jessica, when you're outside and things don't always go your way, you really do have to think on your feet. And I think, although I'm not an expert, for me at least, it puts you in the mindset to be able to handle anything else that might come your way, right? When you're outside, Mother Nature isn't always into your comfort. So you have to figure out a way of making yourself comfortable, even regardless of what her plans are.
Jess knows this, Brian. During the summertime, I go in the house to take a shower and go to bed, and that's basically it. I'm outside the rest of the time, and I like to spend the nights outside because I'm a Looney Tune in that I love the moon, and I'll actually howl at the moon. And there is a thing about sitting under a night sky that it's good for you.
I think it is, and I think it expands your mind. When you're fortunate enough to be able to travel away from city lights and you see the Milky Way for the first time, it indelibly etches itself, and it's something I'll never forget. When we spend time outside, it prepares us to face anything.
It does. And I think it's as simple as aligning it, Brian, in that way of sometimes we hear that nugget of advice of drive to work a different way, right? You're not muddling through when you're out of your comfort zone, even if it is in your own backyard, because you're capitalizing on your space. If you can do that to take this staycation, you are changing up things, and it's a fresh perspective. Also, you're not going to eat the same way, especially if you go a little bit more traditionally we pack it in and that's what we have.
That's what we have. And Jessica, you're right. In terms of everything being on autopilot in our lives, right? When you're outside and Mother Nature's in charge, it's not autopilot. It's her definition. So I like to bring things to keep the kids engaged, keep them comfortable, make sure they're not scared. You talk about food. I bring things that we can cook on a campfire, and they actually have to warm up their own food instead of running to the microwave or running to the refrigerator to get what they want.
One of the things you mentioned is to give the kids a flashlight and at least a magnifying glass, and you can look down. If you're laying on the ground and you look down and a blade of grass looks like a tree, and all the little things that are underneath there, you realize that there's a whole nother world out there.
I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes that said that our minds, once stretched, never regain their original dimensions. So that's when people say, well, your number one piece of outdoor adventure gear for the family is a magnifying glass. That's absolutely right, Bill, because it'll just blow your mind when you see an ant magnified, when you see a centipede, when you see a tick a tick or a mosquito magnified. You're just like, wow, I never knew. And I think mentally that helps you prepare for anything else you may face in life.
Ooh, and
Didn't know we were going to see a close-up picture of a tick today. We could have left that one off, but thanks anyway.
important to know. Hey, I was going to say, Pearl got to see Mommy's reaction when we were doing a hike, and I was somewhat ill-prepared. And then next thing you know, there were ticks, and so we got to point them out in real time.
Yeah.
And so you're
And you know,
learning.
Jessica, what I do is I wear clothing because I don't like the smell of DEET. I don't like the thought of kids putting the DEET on and they're sweating and then they lick their hands because they're eating s'mores, they're doing this and that. So I like to, it's clothing from Insect Shield. They make it in all kinds of colors, shapes, sizes. Even my hat has it on, and it repels mosquitoes, ticks, chiggers, flies, ants, and no-see-ums. So if I have that clothing, if my kids have that gear, my family has that apparel, then I'm not going, oh man, I left the DEET somewhere else. This way I know it's baked right into the clothing, and we don't have to worry about those little critters. Because the first thing, your kids are a pincushion. When they go outside, they never want to camp again. Bill, I'll tell you, the little guy that rolled over you to get out the front of the camp, he probably had a mosquito. There was something literally bugging him, right? There was something bugging him. He's like, the heck with this, I'm out of here. Let me get over Bill, and I'm Mr. Bill, I'm sure. Let me get over Mr. Bill, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
But it just allows me another line of protection for them.
Brian, you have made it look so awesome out there. Thanks for the insights today. Always terrific talking with you.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate it. Have an absolutely great weekend, you and Bill and everyone.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, nice talking with him again. For more information on this very just enlightening topic, visit our show website by early this afternoon at virginiathismorning.com.
Some more great insights from Brian as well. Stay tuned. There's still much more in store for you to enjoy on our Friday edition. We'll see you right here, other side of the break.